think that might answer my next question, but it's what's something that's on the spec sheet that doesn't sound flashy, but people should know about the Newport?
Something on the spec sheet. I think, okay, I want to actually talk about what is inside the box.
Okay.
So this is something that's unique that we've designed. It's the isophasic waveguide.
Are we seeing a shift of good enough is not good enough anymore?
Oh, that's absolutely our engineers. That's them to the T. They build something amazing and then they break it and figure out how to make it better all the time. That's the vibe.
Don't be afraid of the mic.
Okay. No.
I know you're speaker guys, but microphone is still very important in the audio chain.
Very, very much so a microphone nerd too.
This is the source that we're reproducing.
Are we going down that? That's how we're doing it. Right. That's funny.
Gentlemen, it's nice having you here in the studio. So welcome to Behind the Rack. There's so much that we want to talk about. And again, I think I first started at SFM almost 4 years ago. The first tech talk I did was with John Young, and it was about the AC6 and about adaptive. We're not going to be talking about that today, but that's when I became a real believer in EAW, and I was just like, blew my mind. And that was my first introduction to EAW. So I'm really, really excited to have you guys on. There's a lot of things I want to touch on today, especially a bit of a shift that we're seeing, I think in a little bit in all the markets, but specifically in production audio, where it seems to have a workforce problem and a turnaround problem in some cases. Crews are smaller, load-ins are shorter, and the person setting up the system isn't always the person who designed it. So that could be a little tricky. And the industry is quietly shifting toward premium performance that any competent tech can deploy without cracking the manual. We talk a lot about that. And Newport is EAW's kind of answer aimed right at that shift. So welcome, Chris. Welcome, Jonas. Let's talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about a little bit about how the productions world's changed a lot in the last few years. Can you talk a little bit about what you're hearing about how production companies, are what they're actually looking for in a speaker in today's
Day and age.
You want to answer that one first?
Sure. Yeah. COVID happened and it kind of shifted a lot of train of thought in how production companies have to run themselves. A lot of the super technical guys found other means of making income, and we've got a lot of new folks that are coming in, and production companies have to, like you say, find a way to kind of crunch time sometimes, and have a lot of folks in the field at the same time trying to do the same show, but you've got lighting and everybody else. So crew sizes may be smaller these days. And I think especially the NT206L helps bring in a new class of high performance pro audio at a mid-market, scenario to where it has onboard processing in it and it handles itself. But you don't have to crack open a computer to get into it and do a lot of compute time. So it's able to be put into deployment rather quickly. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's more about the day-to-day problem solver, something that's easy to set up, right? So you need fewer technical people and around it to deploy, right? So saving time that way and having their level of staff being able to, deploy these systems is really important, because like there was a time where like, doing, large systems or, any kind of large event that you would have to have multiple people that knew how to put together these systems and deploy them, and their technical expertise. Just, there's a level of technician that, you don't necessarily have to deploy some of these new systems today. I think that helps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can help, companies, do their business with, a simpler setup, a simpler crew, those sort of things, and maintain that high level of, performance.
So premium simplicity.
Yeah.
That's a new marketing slogan, I think.
So, and it's funny that you mentioned COVID, because we've had a lot of people on the podcast, and COVID has really shifted a lot of manufacturers into different directions. And it's crazy how that one event has completely shifted everything. It's
Everything.
Yeah.
From all avenues: software, manufacturing, development of products,
and even that answer to labor, right?
Bingo.
Yeah, so a lot of companies have said that they've lost a lot of availability of people, knowledgeable people when not as available.
Yeah, that's sad.
Can you quantify what it was in terms of quantify the time that was needed to, let's say, set up a large venue show, like a Mayliner or like a big show? As this crunched by 25%, 35%, like how much is it? How can I put it? How much is it faster now to set up large gigs, large venues than it was before?
Or paint us a picture of what it was before.
Yeah.
Well, with any of these types of, I would say, complex array systems, right? Setting something up like that's not trivial, right? So, I mean, you can hang a bunch of boxes up, but understanding splay angles and shading and all that kind of stuff, and then also managing the electronics packages that go with them, especially if you have external amplifiers, being able to put that together successfully isn't, that's not a trivial process, right? So you have to have some really experienced people doing that if you want to have a successful, performance, right? Where I think that like with where we're trying to go with like the NT product is to solve a lot of that complexity and make it easy for someone to deploy. So it's, you can get those results faster, easier, and simpler, because we're trying to design in a lot of that, that process.
Does that make sense? No, it does. Especially with the online array assistant that we have with the NT product line. With any glass, you can get into the system and put in how many boxes you have and trim height and how far you're throwing. That alone, I believe, speeds up install, because in a normal situation, you'll have like an A1 that's putting together the system design on a computer, and that takes a lot of compute time. In a throw and go, we have to have doors in 15 minutes scenario. You can have multiple technicians with their phones in their pockets, having the splay angles and understanding the value of what's happening at the same time. So you can have the left and right going up at the same time without, an overseer, A1, or, somebody that just doesn't know what's going on.
I mean, everybody has a story, of having to fly a system, and it may not be deployed right, may not be, processed correctly, and they still just have to run a show. Right? Yeah. And so with NT, we're trying to basically make that less of a problem, right? So that you can deploy it with, without fear of doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. And what Chris is alluding to is like traditionally, you might need a software program that does prediction and spend all the time, trying to optimize, what you're about to deploy, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with NT, we've kind of also simplified some of that process, and what you mentioned before is this new thing that we've come out with called the Online Array Assistant, which allows you to deploy the NT line without having to pull out a computer and do a bunch of stuff.
You still can. It's in.
You still can,
Yeah. And, you would use resolution if you're doing an install with a lot of like our MKC or MKD line for, fills and stuff like that. You would still like to see all of those products together. But, the OAA just is really helpful for production in the field scenarios.
Okay. And just for the folks out there who don't know what the prediction software is, can you kind of give a couple of sentences of what the prediction software
our audience can be like varies from anywhere basically. So can you just talk a little bit about resolution and what type of software you typically need? Not talking about the NT systems, but inner.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with any of these types of systems, these complex arrays. So when you're talking about multiple boxes that you're flying and deploying, to create some sort of coverage to your audience, most of the time requires some sort of software that can predict what the performance is going to be. And we have a program that's available to everyone to use. It's called Resolution. And in this software, it can do line array optimization, prediction, can help you do it. You can customize it and create what you need to get the results that you want in there. So you can decide how many boxes you need to get the performance you need and check it there. And you can optimize the array within that software. And so in the software though, it's, the industry is pretty used to having to use that kind of tool.
Yes.
Okay. And, the EAW tool is Resolution, and, it's also a 3D mapping SPL program as well, right?
That basically gives you the opportunity to know where, like if I'm at that space, that place in the room, I know exactly how much decibels I would get at that frequency kind of thing, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
As the prediction software.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we like to use it as prediction, a sales tool, and deployment and tuning all in one package. And it's super helpful that we can get our premium, products, all the way down to our install MKC products all in within one design and one tool.
Yeah. Resolution is really not just a line array prediction calculator, but it's also Chris was alluding to, this tool that you can do comprehensive design with. So you can design an entire stadium within Resolution with line arrays, point sources, and other things, and do prediction. You can also do control of other products and things like that of our electronics in there. So it's a program that does a lot. So one of the things, go back to NT though, with Resolution, you might be at a show or at an event that, it's, let's say it's a simple event. Let's say it's just an outdoor thing that's, for the day that you're going to use. You don't need to, spend hours predicting this thing. You just need to get basic coverage, right? And for some people, that might seem like a complicated task. Plug in your computer, spend some time designing a room, doing all that sort of stuff to set up, right? And get your prediction. But so with NT, we have this option, right? So you can do that. You can spend the time to do that. But also with NT, we tried to make it so that you have an option where if you don't want to use a computer, you can still get the optimized array results by using the extra tools that we have, both with on the box along with the Online Array Assistant, and get that very quickly.
Yeah, the Online Array Assistant is using the same operating engine that resolution is just doing it in a server base.
Okay. Very interesting.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. So on that, why don't we, because I'm already getting a better picture painted in terms of even just getting a line array system on the spot is very demanding. And I know when I go to a show, for instance, a lot of people take for granted there's no more speakers on the stage. It's all line arrays. It's very simple. It looks very simplistic. Mm-hmm. It's actually very complex. Yeah. Making sure that everybody in the room, as much as possible, can hear the right sound that the engineer is intending to get that sound out. Walk us through the family of the Newport, just at a high level, and what are the main pieces that people need to wrap their heads around?
So we have several models of NT in the line currently, and this will be also expanding. But so with the same intent and idea of what we've been talking about, but currently, right now, the smallest of the modules is the NT206, which is a dual 6-inch.
That's the one we have here.
That's the one we have here on the table.
Yeah. This
is very, very unique in that it uses our FIR-based processing built in. The controls are simplified, though, so there's no network on the box or anything you need to connect to control it. It's all just there.
Okay.
Right? And also there's an adjustable waveguide on the front, which is this is kind of a new thing that we've designed, so you can change the waveguide cue from either 80 degrees or 110 or an asymmetrical coverage, right? And so you could do this without any tools, that sort of thing. And then we have its predecessor, which is the NTX210, which is a dual 10-inch larger box. And that one actually has our control network built into it as well. So that one's a little bit different than these, but we're going to expand this type of product. And then the next one is the NT208L, which is basically looks very similar to this. It's just a larger version of it. There's a couple of extra features that we've added into that one, which allows the array processing a little more flexible on the back. Okay, so we've got some more controls there. And with any of these things, one of the things that we discovered is that when you're deploying all of these, having a network connection to every box, again, complicates the setup to a degree, right?
Yep.
For some people who may not want to or need to have that complex of a setup.
Yep.
So by keeping this in its simple form, where it's just an analog I/O, and everything is kind of there's a push button on the back and a control to do your array optimization with it, and with adjustable waveguide, we could do all of this without having network control, and so it could be much faster. And if you want to use digital audio distribution, then there's lots of other options these days.
True.
It's really easy to take an array and add a Dante node or whatever you need to send signal to that array, right? So this makes a lot of sense now, for this type of product.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we also have a couple of subwoofers that are being added to the line as well. So the NT206 is compatible with a new subwoofer. It's the NT116S, which is a 16-inch subwoofer, and then there's a NT119S and a 219S coming out as well, and those will be used with the 208.
Okay,
219 for dual.
Spec. Okay. It's very impressive.
Okay,
and you might say, why the odd numbers, why 16 and a 19?
Yeah.
The overall conversation to that is the ability to move more air, and the cone diameter being smaller allows more of an excursion value, and then creating the enclosure in a way to allow more linearity of the driver in those far excursions allows it to go high and low within octave, but that gives us a very punchy, very low octave subwoofer in the same enclosure. So having a 16 in an enclosure the size of a normal 15 would be, but having almost an 18 vibe because you're putting out more SPL, and you can reach higher and lower within that, operating range. It's a very impressive subwoofer. And then we take that same concept to the 19 and the dual 19. Like I said, more output in an enclosure that's very close to
that's
18.
really the key.
Yeah,
is like you might wonder well, why didn't we just use a 18 or a 21? But it's the size. So we're able to make a smaller subwoofer with the performance of the larger driver, right? With the output and the response, both out of something that's in a more compact size. This is the future.
Well, what led you guys to dig into that rabbit hole?
I mean, to tell you the truth, there's I believe not only in history of popular music and culture, I believe that PA follows that popular culture, and these days we're seeing a lot more EDM shows and performances that last 10 to 13 hours. And anytime you're requesting a subwoofer to do that kind of work and also provide impulse for a very long time without getting hot and changing the dynamic flux, you have to start looking at other ways to create the output, but still be able to keep a sharp transient in, hour 8, so I think our engineers are just super focused on the content that's being requested.
That's very interesting.
So basically the rave culture created new products. That's interesting.
It goes through everything now. Everything is requesting a lot of, rave culture. There's different kinds of electronic music, some of it's requesting a lot of transient response, some of it requesting a lot of very low infrasub. And, for a PA provider, sometimes it's very difficult to carry both in one truck back. So, not only that, you have a good amount of low frequency in country now. So, I mean, and country always requests, transient response, out of the, kick is very, transient in country music. So, I think it's just something that's being requested across all forms of music now. It's, again, following the culture of what's happening.
Also, I would add that, just like you're seeing this NT206 on the stage, this is a very small box, right?
Yeah.
And I would think that years ago, you wouldn't consider something this size to do certain, size, performances with, right? Mm-hmm. But we've advanced the speaker technology to, even in something this small, to have really big performance capabilities. Same thing with these new subwoofers is, we're able to build something that's more compact, more easy to use, that has the higher performance.
Yeah.
So we're getting smaller, bigger, and better performance.
Yeah, basically we're the popular culture is reaching the market, the mid-market, the stage line shows, that kind of stuff, and they're requesting high performance, premium quality at these shows, and so this is why the NT product line is built.
And so a lot of flexibility, speed of deployment,
premium simplicity.
Premium simplicity.
Love it down there.
and consistency. So I think that's great that it's I think you guys mentioned it before. It's just being more accessible. That premium being more accessible. Let's talk a little bit about that. So, who is this for, and where are you seeing this fit the most, in which type of applications?
I would say, there's a type of where everyone's trying to, be profitable in their business these days, right? And, high-end performance systems come with a cost. Okay. And you may not have every client that's going to pay for that, right? And so to justify the cost performance of this is to struggle, right? Because you have to demand that, your client also be at that level of paying for that performance. Now, with this type of product, we're targeting into that performance level, but the ability to not, you basically can be more profitable because, you don't have the cost, traditionally associated with this type of product. So,
Right.
Yeah, so you end up with something that's still super affordable that you can make more money with and have that high-end performance result, with this.
So would you say that obviously the companies were thinking the first like rental shops, but permanent installs, like what would be, I know you probably want to sell to all those different verticals, but
Sure.
which one this category of product is really the best bang for your buck? Like where do you see the best fit?
Just about anywhere. I can't think. This is such a versatile product, right?
Yeah.
Right. House of the worship can use this. Corporate audio. Presentation stuff. All kinds of places that this could work in. It's the size and price performance is such that I don't see unless you want to just pay more.
Or you're thinking that it's going to be going in places where people may have not thought about even putting in a type of system like this.
Yeah, absolutely. To just walk off of that conversation, this product offers a couple of things that anything else within that market does not. Like he was mentioning, the AHD technology to where we can rotate the horn flare,
Can
right?
you demonstrate that?
Yeah. That's really cool.
I wanted to ask that earlier.
So
Chris, do it.
what's super simple about this? There's no tools needed. There's no infield really technical that you have to carry on you, which is great. What I like to do,
Not even a screwdriver?
no screwdriver, nothing.
Wow.
Right. And so what I like to do is grab it with my palm like this and pull in.
Oh, wow.
And that breaks it loose. What's really clever is
Can't lose it.
yeah, you can't lose it. This is a feel with a cover on it to where it's not going to hurt your hand or anything if it gets wrapped around, so it's safe. But it lives within the flare. So what we like to do is make sure that this is always pointing to the outside. That's really the only thing you have to keep in mind.
Okay.
But we have an 80 degree or a 110, or it's also asymmetrical.
It's labeled
So
on.
yeah, it's labeled on the top there if we want to get it on the shot there. But what's really clever about that is, especially for church installs, everybody wants an LED screen now, right? Everybody wants to have a line array and an LED wall.
Yeah,
That's the vibe, right? So
yes.
what's really helpful is we can run the high frequency in an asymmetrical pattern and try to keep that high frequency from scattering off that wall, because they're more than likely going to be pretty close to each other, right? So it's super simple to get it back in, pop it back in place, and it stays in. So like I said, that's in the field. also, while it's in the line, it's pretty noticeable to where they're going to be if it's 80 or 110. So it's something, I think everyone can get used to just looking at and seeing, what it's in to make sure they're all in the same while they're setting it up. I'll also mention the line length of this is kind of impressive whenever you get 4 to 6 boxes. There's a lot of low frequency content that happens in that haystack of the line. That also helps with the Q factor and the overall response of the box. It's really nice. In 10 to 12 boxes, it's kind of like, wow, what's happening in a very short line. So especially for medium to even large scale churches, this is a really cool unit, because like he was saying, there's options on this to acoustically kind of shade and have a DSP backing in it as well. So let's say you have a long line, like in a 6 to 8 line. You can have the top boxes in an 80 with a high frequency, and it'll give you a nice boost of almost 6K in the response. And then you can come down and open up to 110, which will acoustically drop about 3 dB. And then you can pull that high frequency off in the bottom, which will pull another about 3 dB back.
Wow.
So you can have a decent gain
ladder,
response across the far field.
Pretty cool.
And the OAA helps you with that. Resolution will help you with that. In resolution, it's really, really cool. You can go in and kind of scroll and flip the horn to where you can see different, concepts. So we do have the ability to be very precise in resolution, but also we have the ability to, let's throw it up 10 minutes ago, doors open 5 minutes ago, that kind of concept, to where no one's really push against the wall. Everyone has it in their pocket.
Yeah.
So it's a really impressive product in that market. It's one of the lightest in its class and one of the loudest in its class. It's made of aluminum, steel, and wood. It's a very impressive product.
Can we expect the 208L to have the same waveguide?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The 208 has the same type of waveguide.
Good.
And to also walk off of a comment that he said on the back control of the 208. The 208 is going to allow us to, because more than likely having longer line lengths of 12 to 16 boxes, right? In that form factor, it allows us to use our array processing that we pull from our larger boxes, like the NTX that has OptiLogic. So whenever you get into resolution, it'll automatically know how many boxes you have and stuff. The NT208 allows you to put in that count with a rotary on the back to optimize the line length and the performance of the box without needing to get into resolution. The OAA will help you with that. So as he was stating, the line is going to not only grow, but also start giving you a couple of options that the next bigger brother, the NTX line, X denotes control and Domkus in our line. So that way, especially in a group that's growing, a production house that is growing shows, things are getting larger and faster. That allows the NT product lines to be out there in the field with their, festival shows, and the NTX product lines in the theater applications, the larger ones that run tour riders and things of that nature, right? Yeah. And then we get into our premium adaptive product from there. So we have a kind of a class level there.
If you're stacking 12 to 16 boxes, I guess it's still not enough. I guess a sub is always required, but for some applications, would you say it's enough that it wouldn't require a sub?
No, I think really in that scenario,
Depends on the show.
Yeah, it depends on the application.
Yeah, if it's a theater thing, maybe, but I mean, especially if you're going to run 12 boxes, it's more than likely going to be a decent size.
Yeah, that's true.
But the upside to that is not only does the LF grow considerably, and the Q is able to control the node a lot more, so it's better control on stage and that kind of thing. But that also, if you're going to be that big, you're going to be quite wide, and sub-performance is probably going to be array center. So the buildup of the array length helps you in the tuning process and creates more of an equal LF control paths and very far distance coupling, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it does help in that factor.
When if you're doing a room that I'm thinking of a large corporate banquet hall, or even where it's got a fixed installation, but the configuration of seating moves. Does the NT206 line or the Newport line, is there different settings for different types of deployments, or how does that work?
Well, in that case, you use something like the OAA or resolution to make your adjustments, but it's all real easy to do on the box.
Physically on the box.
Yeah. Because I mean, right now, like what Chris is showing with the HD, the waveguide. So OA, like your OAA might tell you, set the top boxes to 80 degrees, bottom box 110, and turn on the HF moves in the top, whatever. So depending on your deployment, you can just easily go and flip those around and push the button, and your array is
okay. I will also mention the flyware or the hardware kit that comes with this is really clever in that the same hardware that flies the box also stacks the box and also is the pullback bar. And so there's not a whole lot of different SKUs that you have to remember, right? And within especially a rental group or groups that rent from each other, that way you don't get the wrong fly bar or something's missing. It all travels together inside the lid, and like it's really clever hardware system. But in that fact, if you have to go, on the preliminary of the show, everyone said we're going to fly it, and then we get there and we can't. You can take the same flyware and then stack it on your sub, so you can get up to 4 on a double.
You used to have all the parts and pieces for it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Philip and I mean, we did a few trade shows with them, and we did a few POCs. So I've seen it flying and or ground stack, and we were using the same hardware with the cart, with the wheels. So it's super easy to
it comes as a kit. You get all the pieces that you need for it. So like Chris was saying, the flybar pretty much does most of the stuff. It does everything. But then you also get a pole mount adapter and a subwoofer adapter. So you can use those to attach to tripod or subwoofer.
I think that might answer my next question, but it's what's something that's on the spec sheet that doesn't sound flashy, but people should know about the Newport.
Something on the spec sheet. I think, okay, I want to actually talk about what is inside the box.
Okay.
So this is something that's unique that we've designed. It's the isophasic waveguide. So every line array or every line source is trying to produce, to work correctly, is trying to produce a flat wavefront, right? Okay. And you're doing this with, a small amount of compression driver, high frequency drivers. Okay. So we know that sound expands spherically, right? So everyone has come up with, over the many, many years of line source devices, different ways of creating this flat front, high frequency waveguide. So
sorry, Jonas, why would you want to create a flat versus a spherical?
Because when you array them together, it's all about the phase alignment across the front so that you have something coherent
Gotcha.
at the whole array when you put it together.
So all the frequencies are going out like
At the same, not
Yeah.
it's basically in parallel.
Correct.
in a planar fashion. So it's from top to bottom, and in the center, it's all the same energy in amplitude and bandwidth.
because low frequencies travel slower than higher frequencies. Well, it's not just that.
In
right?
a different direction too.
In different
You know,
directions.
Well,
take
think of it this way: if you just took a bunch of point source boxes and put all their high frequencies, together, it still wouldn't sound very
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
You'd have a lot of phase stuff happen.
Yep.
Right. Okay?
Cancellation. And,
Yeah, cancellation is a weird thing. So that's what this flat wavefront kind of solves, right?
Yep.
So we do a unique solution to this. So imagine that you've got a single high frequency source traveling through something, right? And you're trying to, come out of this dimension, whatever the length of the box is. So you have to create equal path lengths, to this edge of the box.
Yeah.
And so by doing so, you can introduce reflections along that path and other things, right? That also color the sound. We've come up with a waveguide that, trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's almost like, let's say, shaped like an airplane wing, right? So if you take it's like smooth, right? So it's smooth and an ovular shape kind of thing, right? And then we wrap that around inside another container, if you will, that's like shaped around this thing. So the sound actually has to naturally travel at different path lengths to get there without reflections, right? So this gives us a ability to have a more pure, clean, high frequency, wavefront, and so that's what the NT line uses this type of new waveguide technology.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, because I saw the waveguide he was having is actually shaped like a
Like a tier.
like a tear. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then right on the edge of that, we have a grill that's hydrophobic. So, if you're caught in the rain, it doesn't get inside. It's pretty clever.
Okay. And that's IP. I forget what the IP rating was on that. Do you remember?
Is it IP rated?
Or is it IP rated, or it's not IP rated?
Well, so here's the thing. Most of our products that are like install friendly are all going to be IP rated.
Okay.
The NT line or the production products, we don't really give them a technical IP rating.
Okay.
But we do lots of weather testing with them, right? So like right now, this by itself, without the rain cover, you wouldn't want to leave out in the rain, but we have covers for them to actually help protect that. And we do a lot of testing to make sure that these will live out in some weather elements and not,
Okay.
We did actually a pretty wild test with that one. I think it was like 4 months in a saltwater bath that constantly had salt every morning put back into the bath, and it constantly just reran that on top of it while it was running pink noise for like 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really impressive little product there.
So like, while I'll say that, it's not technically IP rated, we do everything to make sure that these can last successfully with, weather elements.
Yeah. To expand that, in our new facility in Franklin, we have, the technical staff and also the resources available to do like heat and water and a ton of different environmental and ozone runs. So we've got several different containers that do different things, and so we have great technical staff that's created a kind of like a quality control scenario that's monitored. So we basically just run things until they die.
And just making sure that just making sure that you guys don't want to put the customer in a bad
100%. 100%.
Yeah. It's the most important thing.
Yeah. Would you say do you think you'd be expanding the NTX line as a sort of anybody who's wants to take the NT to another level, or are you guys just starting with the NT line and seeing how that's?
I think for NT right now, the focus is going to be more on the simplicity of using product.
Gotcha. Expanding the market.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I will say also, like, even like this little guy here, still fully utilizes our FIR based focusing that we do as well. It's all built in. You just don't get user control of making changes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's not really lacking any technology.
No,
it's all there, right? It's just that we've tried to minimize what you need to be able to make, changes with, right?
Yeah, make it more accessible.
Premium simplicity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anybody, I still strongly believe in hearing is believing sometimes, and I out of most of the products EAW that I've heard, it's been that if somebody's listening to the NT or the Newport Series, is there something specifically they should be paying attention to that you want them, or something that they should be looking out for?
Oh, I would love to have anyone sit in front of a 4-box in T206. I think four boxes really couples really well on a stack of our subwoofers. A lot of times right now you see them with the SBX, 218 or 118. But that's kind of a game changer. It really opens everyone's eyes. We do that a lot of demos of a ground plane 4-stack, puts it right at height, and it controls that really well in a lot of ground stack scenarios. High frequency content that close and right at head level, it gets a little bright. I think this product is very, very smooth. And then, like I said, you get up to 10 to 12 boxes in a line hang, and from a good ways back, it looks like a little stick, but you've got this focus of detail in your face, and it's kind of astounding.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you'd be surprised, like what, for the price point of other things that are out there comparing to, right, something in the same range. I think most people would be really like blown away that the level that you would get with this is really out of that league of what you would have expected for this.
Yeah, there's even down to the hardware that was chosen for this product. It's all steel on the side. It's got a steel handle in the back. It's the 3-point spine rigging to where it's collapsible in the cart, and then you can do all of your pinning in the cart and then take it out of the cart with it pinned. It's got the bumper cup to where these are rubber, to where whenever the next one comes in, it can fit in that pocket just kind of on its own. So it's really kind of simple for 1 or 2 people to fly it, even if they're running chain motor at the same time.
Yeah. So this is exactly what Philip and I did about 3 weeks ago. We were 2 guys, and we
so it's
we flight one.
Yeah, because I know we've all been in those situations where it's like 1 or 2 guys, and you're having to deal with a stack of 10 already in the air, trying to get another 4 on, and without these kind of auto alignment pin cups and the rear pinning that's basically already ready to go. You just drop it in, pin it, and let it hold itself. It's really clever. Yeah.
Are we seeing a shift of good enough is not good enough anymore?
Oh, that's absolutely our engineers. That's them to the T. They build something amazing, and then they break it and figure out how to make it better all the time. That's the vibe.
And how long of R&D was needed for that type of solution?
That's a good question. Not sure exactly, but if I remember, this is at least several years in the making. And it's really a culmination of stuff. I don't know that you can kind of define one thing, because this has got technology and development of stuff like over span of years, of things that we've learned and done and things, right?
Yeah.
So all of that, and then it all comes into, this product, things that we can use of, that our development that we've done over that, super long time of learning.
Yeah, he actually nails it. I think it's the history of EAW. Starting in the 80s in the concepts of engineering kind of speak for themselves. Those are great products. And, with the evolution of PA, we've had some outstanding products. And with every product that we release, we learn from it. We figure out what that technology did really well. And then we put it usually in the next product and work from there and continue to learn and continue to grow those different engineering concepts. We have a ton of them. And I think that we're extremely lucky to have the engineers that we do have, with EAW right now. We have, Jeff is head of engineering, and he personally has, the mental capacity of all of our engineers that have been at EAW. He's known all of them and their mindsets and how, they've brought their technical expertise to EAW. And then he is then investing in all of our young engineers, and they're bringing all of their new concepts. And that is where NT comes from, actually, is a lot of forward concepts from some of our younger engineers. Yeah.
Wow. And also being adaptive, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that COVID and the pandemic helped change a lot of stuff, but we talk about it a lot on the podcast, how some vendors are either slow to react, some are quick to be proactive, and adaptability is, if you want to survive in this market, especially how technology is shifting so fast, if you're able to adapt, you're going to be left standing towards the end, right? So it's really, really important. Very cool. What's the bigger story you want people to walk away with today after listening to this podcast about EAW, and not just beyond just EAW just launching a new product?
Probably that, we have never stopped trying to develop some of the best, high performance products at the best, market price. And I think that we have some really unique solutions that many people aren't necessarily aware of. Like some of the things we talked about, some of the technology that's in here and some of our other products, that I think that, you see everyday things in the industry, and we have always been striving to be unique and different and solve a lot of unique problems. So I think if you look toward EAW, you can find solutions to almost everything that you need to have. And I think that's kind of our goal. And we've been there for that, and continue to develop. Yeah, it's good.
I would absolutely agree. Our mantra is control your sound, and that doesn't always have to go down the path of how am I deploying. That could be how is EAW helping my company control our business, control our growth. How can we work together? Our service department is fantastic, and you can talk directly to our engineers. Our field guys are fantastic. So it's not only about controlling the sound through actual deployment, but through growth of your company with our brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very nice.
Good takeaway.
Yeah.
Yep.
With that, we're just at the top of the hour. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. We'd love to have you on
Thanks
again.
for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
next time we're gonna have to pick your brain on the AC6 because that's a whole other beast. That was my first coming back. That was my first introduction. But yeah, I would love to pick your brain on that. But thanks for really showing us the Newport Series and again, premium simplicity. How you guys are taking it to the next level and making this type of product available to.
Masses.
A whole new market, really, which is really cool. Really cool. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'll be your love, I'll be your sunshine, I'll be your love, I'll be your sunshine.